Okay, we'll start with the prayers. Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhyam Dadati Padantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So first of all, as I mentioned through the groups that we are going to recite these shlokas. These shlokas are going to be asked oral. These are 12 shlokas for unit 1, chapter 1 to 6. So verbal test will happen, oral test will happen. So unless we recite it in every meeting, we cannot learn it. So the process of learning of shloka is a recitation. ठीक है, तो अभी कैसे करना है? How is it? Like we can do together, but you can keep yourself muted. ठीक है, आप पीछे म्यूट करके रखो और साथ में करते हैं. ओके. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यश्श्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः. अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तया प्रहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते. प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम् इमं राजर्षयो विदुः सकालनेह महता योगो नष्टः परन्तप. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नयति मामेति सो अर्जुन. तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षयन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्य अन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. भोक्तारां यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति. योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. One time more will do. कार्पण्यदोषोपहता स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसमूढचेता यश्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा
ते
देहान्तरा
घेऊन टाक नाटक काढ.
पुष्पस्तत्र न मुह्यति न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधो नाभिधीयते प्रकृतिः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम् इमं राजर्षयो विदुः सकालनेह महता योगो नष्टः परन्तप परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नयति मामेति अर्जुन तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षयन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिना ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्य अन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So chapter 2 content of Gita summarized. So we have completed the yes, Anish Prabhu.
Roji, I wanted to ask the how the shloka test will be conducted. We have to recite all these shlokas.
You have to recite shloka, then its meaning means translation. Then next shloka, translation. Then next shloka, then translation, like that.
Okay,
So
all right.
you will be given hint for beginning, like yogi nam. So yogi nam. So you have to continue. You have to complete that shloka. Okay.
Thank you.
You may be given the hint. So translation, paraphrase you can do. May not be remembering everything, but the essential points of translation should be present. So then 2 marks for shloka and 2 marks for translation and 1 marks for whole, 5 marks, like that. So once this 6th chapter will finish, we will take this shloka test for every one of you. So this second chapter, first to 10 shloka we have discussed Arjuna in decision and accepting Lord Krishna as his guru. Then second part which we are discussing now, Gyan Sankhya, Gyan Yoga Sankhya analysis of body and the soul. So today we'll complete that. So we can see what things are mentioned. Do not lament unnecessarily. All the individuals exist eternally and changing body is natural. 14 to 15. Tolerate dualities. Equanimity is eligibility for liberation. Yes. 14 to 15. So Dehino Asmin comes in 13th sloka. 14th comes for Matra Sparsastu Konte. Uh, so and liberation also. 15th one. Then the 16 to 22 soul never dies. Basically, in these shlokas, more property of the souls are mentioned. What are the properties of the soul? Soul never dies, and the body is perishable. Changing body is similar to changing earth clothes. Okay. Uh, Further, all these shlokas are mentioning about the properties of the soul and how the soul is very unique item. It's not matter. So today we'll do that reading. 26 to 25 qualities of eternal soul, and then 26 to 30 birth and death are inevitable. No need to lament for eternal soul. So see, the conclusion is what Krishna says: no need to lament for eternal soul. We begin with that, do not lament, and end with do not lament. So basically, to kill the lamentation of Arjuna, Krishna is teaching this Sankhya, because he has to inspire him for fighting. It's not that Krishna is taking a class of Bhagavatam where he's teaching that you have to surrender now. So surrender, he's not teaching here right now. He's just convincing him through philosophy that how even if you're fighting and killing the bodies, you're not killing the soul. So like that, he's convincing for certain facts which Arjuna is confused about. He's convincing those facts actually. Yes, from the soul's angle, if you see, you're not killing.
वेटिंग में तभी वेटिंग में
And then Sakam Karma Yog will be, if time permits, we'll go that. Sakam means performing prescribed duty gives enjoyment. So many times in our life also some practical solutions which we look for. If you do this thing, if you put your money in what you call some investment, some mutual interest, so then you will get that much benefit later. So this is like a sakam. Means you are getting to follow certain rules in your life having some material benefits. Because of material benefits you follow certain principles. So that is the practical solutions we look for. So that is a sakam. So Krishna is also telling what is the practical benefit of fighting war. So here we'll see that doing prescribed duty for fighting opens door for heaven. Avoiding fight, you will incur sin. So Arjuna had a problem, or you can say confusion earlier, that if I kill my family members, I will commit sin. But Krishna here he will prove that if you do not do your duty of Kshatriya, you are incurring sin. Not that you are not killing your family members, and you are thinking that okay, because of your thinking that I will commit sin. No, if you do not fight, then you will incur sin, because it is the duty of a Kshatriya to fight. And then benefit of fight he mentions. Okay, and then after this sakam karma, we will go to the niskam karma yoga, and then jivan mukta, qualities of those. So we'll go ahead. So yesterday how many shloka we completed? कितना किया था?
I think 19th, but I'm not sure. 19th, I think it was there. But after that, can anyone confirm?
2.20 न जायते प्रियते
20 हो गया ना?
हाँ
Sorry, 20.
We'll start with 21.
ट्वेंटी श्लोकास हो गए प्रभु जी कल
21 will start.
यस
Okay, Anish Dattaprabhu, you can read 5 translation, then we'll choose another devotee.
Okay.
Veda vinasinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam katham sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam.
O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Which are only the highlighted ones, right?
Okay.
Sim-
So Prabhupada is a great, you can say, supporter of this principle of violence, not in terms of killing people, but in terms of where it is should be utilized, and if a proper person is there to utilize that violence, it should be utilized. Otherwise, lot of wrong things may happen in the name of non-violence. So Prabhupada here gives an example. If murderer is given a justice of his death statement, so then what happens? In the next life, he will not have to suffer actually for his great sins which he has committed. So, like life for a life. If somebody has killed some man, so then he should also be killed. Actually, sometimes it is said, Prabhupada says that also, if you kill an animal also, and killing a human and an animal both are equal. Prabhupada says in God's kingdom, God does not distinguish between who is an animal, who is a human. In one sense, he says like that, but in reality, yes, animal killing is lesser sin and human killing is greater sin, because human has a body of high responsibility. He has a responsibility of self-realization, even though that man may not utilize his freedom. That is another thing. But the body which he has been given with, it has a greater responsibility. So murder and killing, like Jesus says, thou shall not kill. So Christians they change to thou shall not murder. So in human society, they think in that way. But Prabhupada says that don't do killing. Killing should not be done at all. But even if you want to do killing, kill some animals which are not very important, like some hen or some goats or some pig, you can do. But cow killing is not allowed. In the similar way, human killing is not allowed. Human killing is a sin, or you can say it's a great sin that you will be put behind the bars. But if somebody kills animal, surely according to government laws, he will not be put. But in future, in hell, he has to suffer. So before going to hell, if he can counteract that sin by doing some atonement, he can be forgiven. So this is atonement here. When somebody is given death penalty, is hanged till death, so then he need not to get a sinful body in the next life, or he must has to suffer in the next life because of a previous life sin. So if he can get death penalty in this life, he will not have to suffer. So that's why the capital punishment was there earlier. Now it's a talk of now they are thinking that it to remove it. Many people are in confusion actually whether we should keep it or not. Death penalty, because they have given up the basis of scriptures long back. So now they are confused from where they have to bring this trust that we should keep capital punishment if they don't trust scripture only. So here it's clearly mentioned, your sins will be transferred to the next life if you do not counteract it now. Sinful reactions. Okay, and then similarly, when the Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that the violence is for supreme justice. So one is the justice of this world, another is justice of supreme Krishna's justice. Krishna wants that this war should be fought. Thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for Krishna is not violence at all, because at any rate the man, or the rather the soul, cannot be killed. So-called violence is permitted. Okay. Prabhupada gives example of a surgical operation done, like a cancer. Somebody gets cancer and then his body, some parts has to be amputated. So then nobody questions the doctor. Means he may question because of some concern, but does not question the credibility of the doctor, that how can you cut the arms? Because he will say your arms has become infected now. If we keep the arms, your whole body will be gone after some time. So therefore they will not question in that way. So they will have to cut their hands, amputate. And when you come to Ramayana, in the Ramayana, when many people have this confusion, like I was taking bhakti Vedanta class for some group of devotees. So there was a question in 9th canto. When Mataji asked the question that Lord Ram did injustice with Mother Sita. He sent her away, banished her, because some dhobi, some washermen felt some doubt on the character of Lord Ram. So similar principle can be seen from here, that when Krishna says Arjuna to fight and Arjuna has to fight, Arjuna is not feeling to fight against his family members because he has a affection. In the similar way, when Lakshman was told, you take the Sita away and put it in the custody of Balmiki Muni. So there Krishna, there is Ram, and here is Krishna. Similar context. Now God is wanting something to do. So I told the same thing. You see, one thing we should always understand in Krishna consciousness: whatever Lord does is never wrong. We have to understand that activity through our scriptures, some facts which acharyas gives, how to understand this lila in this way, that way. With some principles of shastras we can understand. But first of all, when we start reading Bhagavad Gita, what Prabhupada says, you have to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First of all, assume it. Whatever he is saying, it is right. So this is the first faith to begin with Bhagavad Gita, or to begin with any scriptures which are devotional, like Ramayana and this, especially our Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever is happening is fully perfect happening, and we have to understand from the eyes of scriptures, from the eyes of acharyas, that God is all perfect. There are no morality principles can be applied on God. God is, whenever he does dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam, the dharma is established by God. It's not that God follows dharma, then it becomes dharma. No, God, whatever he does, it becomes dharma. Whatever God does, it is a dharma. Gandhiji used to think, if Krishna is dancing with gopis, I don't consider him as my God. I still have certain doubts on him. So Gandhiji did not know that you cannot keep God in your morality box. In your morality box, you cannot keep God. In the similar way, the science cannot put God in the laboratory to test that whether the God is fitting with all the rules and regulate, or you can say the parameters of the nature's law. God cannot be put into laboratory, and God cannot put into the morality box. He reserves his freedom right because he's a swarat from beginning. So nobody can question him. He's irreproachable according to Ishopanishad. He's irreproachable. Nobody can question him for his activity. At the same time, Shastra do give many logical texts, logical understanding, where we can understand God through logic. At the same time, if somewhere not understandable, then we have to accept it's a supreme will. We cannot do anything. Accept it. So here Krishna wants to kill them because we are devotees, we are from the side of dharma. When adharmic people or some little bit adharmic people, when they come to understand Gita, why it has to be, why Krishna wants to kill them, like that. Some atheistic understanding may come here. So therefore Prabhupada says Gita is meant for those who have done some austerity, who are not envious of Krishna. These people can understand Gita properly. Like that. See, Bhagavad Gita is a science which clearly mentions about devotional service. Even though Bhagavad Gita mentions Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga or Dhyana Yoga same, and then Bhakti Yoga, and also before that some traces of Karma Kanda. These things are mentioned. So Gita completes the knowledge of the Vedic literature. But Gita does not have goal to teach people to follow all those paths right now, especially because Bhagavad Gita for Kali Yuga I am saying. So because Kali Yuga, all other processes are now dismantled, they are not working right now. So therefore Bhagavad Gita and Krishna specifically, Bhagavad Gita is speaking to solve the problem of Arjuna, because Arjuna is the main person, and Prabhupada also says is spoken for everyone, correct? But Krishna's message is very clear: Bhaktyamam Abhijanati and Sarvadharman Parityajya. His message is very clear that I am the Supreme God and you have to surrender to me, follow my advice. And you can only understand me when you do my bhakti. So if you catch another process, or if somebody is very desirous of catching other process, he cannot understand Gita from beginning till end. He will be stuck up in between. So Gita is only a literature for devotees, actually, for devotees who want to surrender to Krishna. not depending upon any formality, any dharma, what they were following previously. No. If Krishna says surrender, I will surrender. Like that. So then for those people, Gita is meant. Okay. वासांश जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णान्य अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि.
As a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Yes. This is a very classic example Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. The dress, our body is compared like a dress, or you can say utensils also. Like utensil, you keep some items for eating. So utensil is simply the carrier of the food. It's not the main substance. The main substance is inside the utensil. In the similar, our body is nothing but a carrier of a soul. Soul is simply using this body to fulfill its purpose. Purpose may be enjoyment, purpose may be self-realization, whatever. But body is a vehicle, body is a carrier. And again, the body is not as much important as soul. It is not as much important as soul. Body is simply like a polythene in which you carry some rasgulla from market, and once you put it in your vessel, you throw away the polythene, because now rasgulla is there in vessel. And when you pop up that rasgulla in your mouth, you wash your vessel and keep it in your kitchen. It means again the vessel is not required now. So what was required is rasgulla has to be tasted. So other things were simply carrier of the rasgulla. So body is also like that. So if body is cared without this understanding that it is a carrier, it is a vehicle to do my dharma. Shariram adyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Sharira is only for to do dharma. The dharma of soul has to be you can say pursued or followed through the use of body. So dharma of the soul has to be followed. But what happens in this world? People are more confused with the dharma of body only. बॉडी का ही धर्म में पड़े हुए लोग. मैं भारतीय हूँ, मैं पाकिस्तानी हूँ, मैं मुस्लिम, मैं क्रिश्चियन. So people are confused in bodily dharma. What they will do about the soul dharma? So just imagine when religion is not taught in a proper understanding of body and soul, then so much big havoc can happen in the whole world. This is what happening. All country people are fighting. सब लोग अपना अपना न्यूक्लियर बम बना रहे हैं एक के ऊपर फोड़ने के लिए. अरे मूर्ख, तू उसके ऊपर डालेगा तो वो तेरे ऊपर नहीं डालेगा क्या? If I will make a nuclear bomb, if I throw, so I may win over one country, but other country may throw on me, because everybody now knows how to make nuclear weapon. So it's actually foolishness actually. So we have to kill not the bodies of the people, but ignorance of the soul. Until this ignorance of soul is not killed, these fights will not disappear. So here is mentioned the change of body by the atomic individual soul is accepted fact, but modern science do not believe in the existence of soul. Prabhupada directly writes, modern science does not believe on it. Okay, and then he says that at the same time they cannot explain that source of energy is coming from the heart, and have to accept the continuous change of the body which appears from childhood to boyhood or from boyhood to youth. I don't know whether modern science still accept this fact that the source of energy is the heart. They just mentioned that heart is a very important organ in the human body, and it circulates the blood by pumping. It's really doing a great job by throwing the blood in the different veins and nerves, and taking oxygen and doing all these things, mixing oxygen, all those things. But they never explain in this way, which Prabhupada is saying, that energy is coming from the heart. Source of energy is heart. They never explain in that way. The whole body energy is coming from the heart. Yes. So this also part is missing. only thing they can accept that body is changing, and that also body is changing means they think body is growing. They don't think that body is changed. They think that body is growing. So then our Upanishad, Svetasvatar Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad say, Samane vrikshe puraso nimagno nisaya sochati muhyamana jastum yada pashyati annamisham asya mahimanam iti vita soka. This is very important shloka. In your preaching you can use it. This body is compared like a tree. On this body, the tree body, two birds are sitting. One is jiva, other is super soul. Samane vrikshe, same vriksha, puruso nimagno. That puruso means is a busy. Anishaya sochati muhyamana. So he is busy and he is bewildered. Muhyamana. And what he is busy with? Who is the busy? One of the Purusha. So Veda consider we also as a living entity as a Purusha, because he has the mentality of Purusha. He is not Purusha actually, but he is the mentality of Purusha. Therefore, Vedas call us also as a Purusha. So two Purusha. The one Purusha is very busy, Muhyamana, very bewildered, in eating the fruits of the tree. So this tree body produces two fruits. One is Pap and another is Punya. So Pap or Punya, दो फ्रूट्स आते हैं. पाप का फ्रूट खाने में दर्द होता है और पुण्य का फ्रूट खाने में अच्छा लगता है. So like that. So now the bird, the jiva bird, is eating those fruits and sometimes becoming happy, sometimes becoming distressed. And the another bird who is just watching him, not doing anything, just watching him, what he's doing, witnessing his activities, that is Paramatma bird. Jastum yada pashyati anyam isham, that is isham. Isham is another bird. So if this one bird who is a nimagno and muhyamana, if this bird can turn his face, turn around and then see the face of Paramatma, asya mahimanam iti vita soka. That day, if he knows the mahima of that another isham bird, immediately his all shoka will finish. All his lamentation will finish, because ultimately even after eating good fruits of his pious activities, ultimately that also brings to the misery only. So that's why it's mentioned soka. Even after enjoying both the fruits, he is in soka only. वो दुखी में ही है हमेशा. जीवा इस संसार में दुख में ही है. शोक बोला है मतलब हमेशा दुख में ही है, चाहे वो अच्छा फ्रूट खा रहे हो चाहे वो खराब फ्रूट खा रहे हो, हमेशा दुख में है. So like basically how you can understand the life is like a dining table. It's like a dining table and we are the cook. We go to the kitchen, we make many items. One is a bitter item, one is sour item, one is a sweet item, and we mix something sweet and bitter, and then we make it, and then we come and sit in the dining table, and then we say, oh, better, can you bring one of the item? Just bring for me, I have to eat now. So then we start eating, and then we shout, why you have brought this item? This is so bitter. Don't you know what to put in this item? Better may say, sir, you only cooked. I am simply a medium. I am simply providing what you have cooked, actually. So then, okay, let me test another thing. Again, oh, it's so sour. इतना खट्टा बना है. समझ में नहीं आता, फेंक देंगे हम. So basically, in the lifespan of our life, which is like a dining table, we have cooked our own karma. And now somebody is a medium who is giving that food to eat. खाओ. और हम खाते हैं तो बोलते खट्टा लग रहा है. बनाया तो आपने ही है. आपने बनाया और आप ही उसको फेंकोगे. So therefore, all jivas are lamenting their own you can say delicacies which they have cooked in previous life or in this life. We have cooked our own delicacies and we are eating that. And so solution is not to eat your delicacies. Solution is to feed your soul. So we are not feeding our soul. We are feeding ourselves only. But we have cooked. What we are feeding is our own karma. अपने कर्म को खिला रहे हैं. और हम बोल रहे हैं अरे ये मीठा है, खट्टा है, ऐसा है. Like चित्रकेतु महाराज. So much prosperous king. 1 crore पत्नियां, 1 crore wives, not a single son. So beautiful king. It is mentioned. He was so beautiful, he was so highly educated, everything was fulfilling. But no son. मतलब इतना खराब भाग्य भी किसी का हो सकता है. So he was lamenting. Even though he had so many good things, but sokaha, he was lamenting. Because he was eating his own delicacies, what he has cooked. So it's easy to say, but when people go through lamentation, it's a very difficult. Karma can make people suffer like anything. So one should immediately understand, I have to feed my soul, not I have to eat the delicacies which I have cooked by my own karma. So we have to start feeding the soul. When the soul is, therefore it's mentioned, Asya Mahimana iti vitsoka. Once we start feeding the soul with the Mahima of the Lord, we start glorifying the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord, we start detaching our consciousness from our own karma, from our own delicacies. And then we understand, I am not meant to enjoy all my dishes which I have cooked. I should not be. I should be detached. क्यों खाने की जरूरत है उसको? Many events come in the life. Why I need to be too much attached with the result of the events? We can be like a passenger in the train where the trees are passing by, people are passing by, we are simply looking at them. So Gyanis basically, they don't experience by going through the situations, but by observing the situation they understand कि ये ऐसे हो रहा है, ऐसे हो रहा है. They need not to experience it by getting into it. ज्ञानी ऐसा काम करते हैं. Like it is said, na, two way to get knowledge. One is by experience and other by hearing. So experience is very costly teacher and hearing is an economical teacher. So we have to accept which teacher we want to accept. Economical चाहिए teacher या costly teacher चाहिए. So experience is a costly teacher. And who is economical? Is a hearing. Hearing is the economical teacher. But most of the people in this world, everyone of us, experience चाहिए. And so हम लोग सबको महंगा पेमेंट करना पड़ता है. तो यहाँ पे mention. So therefore, this jiva has to understand that my master is looking from behind, and if I can know his glory, then I will be happy. I will finish off all my eating pious and impious work, the fruits. Arjuna is advised herewith by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teachers. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight, so that he may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of the bodily reactions and promoted to the higher status of life. See, accepting it. This is very clear here. किसी को मार के उसका शुद्धिकरण हो रहा है, तो लोग अपने अटैचमेंट में जीते हैं. Like simple example in means like one time in South India there is a Madhva Sampradaya. So there is a Raghavendra Swami. One Swami is there, very famous Raghavendra Swami. So when he was born, so it is said he was a Prahlad Maharaj. Lord appeared to his mother and father, and then Lord said that I will send my own devotee in your family. So then they did not have child for a long time, and then they got this Raghavendra Swami. It's quite famous actually in Udupi, or basically in Karnataka, North Karnataka zone. He preached to the many local people. Most of the other acharyas in Madhva Sampradaya, they preach to the either Mayavadis, very strong Mayavadis, को उसको हरा के पीट के हो गया. But this Raghavendra Swami, basically he preached to the local people more, and he is very famous if you go to North Karnataka. So then what happened? So then one time he had a guru. And his guru, he was a impersonalist. So guru said to him, chant Om Namah. So Raghavendra Swami, small boy, he said, first tell me what is the meaning of Om Namah, because he was a Mayavadi. So the guru said, hey, don't ask me. I am saying you chant now. Om Namah. So then he said, I will chant Hare Namah. Is it okay? Chant Om Namah. So he said, Hare Namah. Chant Om Namah. Hare Namah. So he was Hari Bhakta. So then he slapped him, and then he fell down, and then Guru started beating him, and then immediately the Raghavendra Swami he fell dead, no life symptom. So because of this offense, that Guru became mad. That Guru became mad, and he left the place. And then this person was lying down, Raghavendra Swami, and somebody informed to his mother, "Ki your son has died now." So mother came running and then started weeping, crying. And then one Swami was passing through that way. He was from Madhva Sampradaya. Like the Madhva Sampradaya, there is a uh, Pariyai who will worship the deity. Every year there is a Pariyai. So this was a sannyasi who was in charge of Ashtamatadis. So he was worshipping the deity, Udupi Krishna at that time. So this Swami comes and then he sees the child. And then he sees that, oh, he's a very special child. And then he puts water and then makes him come back once again. Basically, he was not dead, he was fainted. So then he said to mother, "Ki mother, you give this child to me. I will make him very special. He's a very special soul." And mother said, "No, no, no, I cannot give. He's my darling. How can I give?" His name was Venkatesh in small when he was child. So mother did not want to give. Then the Swami said, "Mother, but I will tell you one thing. After 12 years, you will be separated from your child." So then she was not able to understand what is this. So then she still did not give. And then father decided, "I will not send my child to any guru. I will teach myself." So then they started teaching. And then the last night of 12th year, because next 12th year one day means 12th year khatam ho gaya, 13th year chalu ho jayega. So the mother was very much worried कि Guru has said that I will be separated, means what? And on that day both of the people died. The mother also died, father also died. And then this Raghavendra Swami was taken back by the Guru. So why I'm telling the story, I'm telling this story that even though sometimes the chances opportunity comes in our life for great sacrifice, we are not ready to accept that. It's not very easy actually. Like when Nityanand Prabhu was asked by that Swami, means he asked Hadaya Pandit and Padmavati, "Can you give your son?" So they gave with a great suffering in their heart. Like a stone was kept on their head. With that much suffering, they just gave the son, "Okay, take it." But they lamented and he died. First he died, then his wife died actually. So yes, in this world you will find that the nothing great can be achieved, or God also does not keep very simple thing for us to go through in life. Great sacrifices are always wanted in this world, and especially for great souls like Srila Prabhupada. He has to give up his family life, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to take sannyas at the age of 24. Raghavendra Swami has to lose his parents actually. Of the Lord. So here Arjuna is also asked to complete the mission of the Lord, and he has to sacrifice his family people actually. That is what asked here. Even though laws are there, people are attached. So they are teaching. So Arjuna is going through both situation. I am attached and now I am coming out of that attachment and serving Krishna. So Arjuna is teaching that. So Krishna purposefully kept Arjuna in that situation. If Krishna could have not given Bhagavad Gita, some other time he might have given Bhagavad Gita, then it will be difficult for us to read Bhagavad Gita with that emotion and sentiment, what Arjuna is going through in his life actually. So this is a whole subject here. The setting the scene, Krishna has set the scene very rightly here, which most of us also presume in our life. When the great sacrifice comes, so हमें भी लगता है, डर लगता है, भैया ये नहीं करना है, थोड़ा छोटा हो जाए चलेगा. नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेद्यन्ते आपो न शोषति मारुतः.
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
Hmm.
Shall I read? All
You can
kinds
read.
of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapon made of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly they were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Firearms were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices.
Hmm. Now only we know the weapon of fire. That Prabhupada gives some name, that is nuclear weapon. I don't know scientists whether they know that this is really fire weapon. But Prabhupada gives the name that it is a fire weapon. But better fire weapon was available previously. So they had water weapon, they had wind weapon, they had also ether weapon, sound sound through sound can travel, earth weapon. So earth weapon we also have. Surely these all gunpowder, they are earth weapon only. eh? अर्थ से ही बने हुए सभी, बट वाटर वेपन नहीं है. और इवन इफ वी हैव दिस वेपन्स देयर इज नो काउंटर एक्शन फॉर इट. मान लो किसी को पानी बड़ा उठा के लेगा, किसी के सर के ऊपर पटक दिया उसने, तो बोलेगा मैंने पानी का वेपन लेके पटक दिया थे, बट उसका काउंटर एक्शन नहीं है. नो बडी कैन काउंटर एक्ट. Previously it was with mantras and then counteraction was there, but now there is no counteraction. It's only gross, everything is gross. So the soul cannot be killed by or cut by these weapons. So Prabhupada adds here, the Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by illusory energy. Nor it was possible to cut the individual souls from the original supreme soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the supreme soul, because they are atomic individual souls eternally sanatan. They are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the spark of fire, although one in quality, are prone to be extinguished when out of fire. See, this is very important thing mentioned here. Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by illusory energy. So Mayavadi considered soul and super soul equal. So first thing they consider equal, and then they consider that everything is Brahman. So how can a small Brahman cut out from big Brahman and then come and fall into clutches of illusory energy? How can that happen? So Mayavadi have no answer for it. Because if cutting is allowed, so then Sanatan concept will be finished. And here also Prabhupada mentions, because this sloka says the soul cannot be cut by any weapon. Means there is not only material weapon, even a spiritual weapon is not accepted here. The soul can be cut. Krishna never mentions that soul can be cut. So he mentions they are already there as a Sanatan. Living entity, small living entity, Anu and Vibhu, the Supreme Lord. Brahman, Parabrahman. They are eternally existing separately. And we have a tendency that we are small, and so we have tendencies, or you can say the energy, Maya energy is bigger than us, illusory energy, so he can cover us. So then he's saying it is possible that we can be covered, but for covering we have to be individual first. We cannot be connected with the Lord. When we are separated from the Lord and we have our free will, then we can be covered. Like that he's saying. So Vaishnavas have solution for it. Yes. In a Vara Puran, the living entity are described as separated part and parcel of Supreme Lord. They are eternally so, according to Bhagavad Gita. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. So we remain always separate. And so even after liberation, we will remain separate. अच्छेद्यो या अयम आद्योयम अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतः स्थाणुर् अचलोयम सनातना.
This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same.
So here the spiritual properties are mentioned. Above it is mentioned that how material weapons cannot affect. Now even spiritual property also mentioned here in one sense. कि अच्छेद्य, you cannot make any hole in the soul. छेद नहीं कर सकते, ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते उसको. अदाह्य मीन्स छेदना, और दाह्य मतलब जलाना. तो अदाह्य मीन्स यू कैनॉट बर्न द सोल. अक्लेद्य means you cannot mix with any other another liquid or another element with the soul, and then you make a nice dish for eating. That you cannot do, or you cannot mix the soul with any other element. It is totally separate. So soul cannot be you cannot make a hole in the soul, you cannot burn the soul, you cannot mix the soul anywhere. Nityah sarvagatah sthanur. Sarvagatah. This is a Prabhupada uses many times to defeat modern scientists. Sarvagatah. The soul is present everywhere. Sarvagatah means he can go anywhere. Sthanur, unchangeable. Even if he goes some other place, he need not to change his qualities to adjust that place. That place cannot affect. Like they say that on Mars, earlier they said Mars में कोई पानी नहीं है, बाद में बोले पानी आ गया कहीं से तो. और फिर वो बोले कि बाकी सब लोगों में there cannot be any living entity. Scientists they accept. But the soul is unchangeable. Even though the soul is thrown at some very far planet, still the soul is unchangeable by the effects of the environment there. And soul can go anywhere. No restriction for the soul. Achala, immovable, sanatana, eternally the same. Either soul lives in this world or soul goes to material spiritual world, it remains the same. What gets affected in the soul is his consciousness, not the constitution. सोल का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन नहीं बदलता है, उसका कॉन्शियसनेस बदल जाता है, चेतना बदल जाती है उसकी. Because here he has come as a purusha to enjoy the material nature. So he is covered by the ignorance. See, the all covering like gross body, subtle body, they are not changing the soul. They are simply outside covering. Therefore, Krishna mentions these are the clothes. They are ये कपड़े हैं, ये केवल कपड़े हैं. And then he's saying that कपड़ों में ये सोल मिक्स नहीं होता है, कपड़े इसको छेद नहीं सकते हैं, कपड़े इसको जला नहीं सकते हैं. So any material things cannot do anything to the soul. Soul is always separate. But the consciousness of the soul gets affected by matter. Therefore, Prabhupada mentions it is prone to be covered by illusory energy. So covering means what? It covers the consciousness of the soul. The soul's consciousness can be covered, it can be affected, but not the constitution of the soul. Soul बदलेगा नहीं, वो अविकार रहेगा, उसको आप बदल नहीं सकते. All this qualification of atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally atomic particle of the spirit whole, and he remains the same atom eternally without change. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case. Individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneous. Yes, it can never become. It will always be separate from matter. After liberation from the material contamination, the atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spirit spark in the effulgence ray of the Supreme Lord, but the intelligent soul enter into the spiritual planets. So yeah, if when the soul goes into the Brahma Jyoti, he can be, like you can say, homogeneous. Like, it's not homogeneous, like similar. One soul can be there, looking like a homogeneous thing. But Prabhupada says that intelligent soul goes to abode of Lord. Sarvagata, all pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that living entities are all over the God's creation. They live on the land, in the water, in the air, in the earth, even in the fire. The belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable. These are all beliefs of scientific world, because it is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. So many times Mayavadi, when they say the Sarvagata, they say we are Paramatma. Like Paramatma is all pervading, we are also all pervading. So Sarvagata means we can go anywhere, but we are not together. Like two souls are not one soul, they are separate souls. But two Paramatma are the same Paramatma. Hmm? So Paramatma, he can divide himself into many, but the soul is one soul only. Hmm? And he can go anywhere. So there's a difference between all pervading, when you say in the sense all pervading souls, small souls, or we all individual souls are different consciousness souls, different and living entities. But when Paramatma is said all pervading, he's the same Paramatma. Same Paramatma. अव्यक्तोऽयम् अचिन्तोऽयम् अविकार्योऽयम् उच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि.
It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body.
This is very very important when somebody leaves the body, especially उसमें बहुत important होता है कि भाई nothing can affect my soul. If I'm dying with some accident and the tires are just crunching my body, and my liver is coming out of my stomach or my body, so then all these things are not going to destroy the soul. So one has to be conscious of oneself. Yes. So self understanding is a basis of all understanding. So once we understand ourselves, we can understand everything in a proper way. So those who are soul conscious, they can live a life very nicely, because they can, because we are soul. If we are conscious of ourselves, then we can know how much time to give to body. Yes, now what is happening, we are in ignorance actually. So our time is without any thought process, without any consciousness only. Our time is snatched by our body and mind. Whole time is taken by body and mind only. So therefore people have problem in managing their life. Why? Because they are not conscious only who are they. जब आदमी पागल है, if somebody is a lunatic person, पागल व्यक्ति को अगर आप टाइम मैनेजमेंट सिखाओगे तो क्या सीखेगा वो? उसको क्या पता है? उसको खुद ही नहीं पता है वो कौन है. तो how he can manage time? He really has to be another mad person. Another mad person means very like these people they teach. Stephen Covey पढ़ाता है वो urgent important matrix. So in this world you will not see how many times you have seen like Chaitanya Nityanand Prabhu, when he was going to Nadi from Bengal, from Jagannath Puri, he forgot the way only. Kirtan karte karte rasta bhul gaye. And then he asked somebody, hey, where is the way for Nodip? They said here. Again he went somewhere else. Like that it went 7-8 hours to reach Nodip. Now he could have thought, अरे ये क्या time management क्या चल रहा है, मैं गलत रास्ते जा रहा हूँ. So when soul is in that consciousness of loving Lord, so that is a very another means another kind of illusion. The soul is in totally love of God. He forgets himself. He forgets all his so-called time, all these things. When the same soul comes here, he is covered by Maya, and he forgets time in activities of Maya. Actually, so all of us, I mean, sometimes we are taught some time management, but how long we continue doing time management? Even those who are kept on office in the office for meeting deadline, you have to complete your task, karna hai, karna hai, karna hai. So then that time we can write it down, ye karna hai, wo karna hai. But when it comes to now, nobody is behind us, so then we utilize our time basically for enjoyment according to our consciousness. If you are in material consciousness, we will enjoy material things. Spiritual consciousness will enjoy spiritual things. We forget the time. This happens actually. So so therefore the soul cannot be bound by any all such things. So what I was mentioning, I came to that topic. क्यों मैं बोला वो? Why I spoke that topic? Okay.
People have become very body conscious, Prabhuji.
Yes. I was saying correct. I was speaking that that we are not conscious only. So then, self understanding is the basis of all understanding. So when we understand ourselves, जितना हम अपने को समझ जाएंगे उतना हम अब चीज़ों को बैलेंस कर लेंगे, क्योंकि उसके बाद हम अपने जीवन में जिएंगे. अभी हम दूसरों का जीवन जी रहे हैं. वी आर लिविंग others life, the life of body and mind. We are not living our life, we are living others life. And that is why the problem what we are facing is also others problem, it's not our problem. It's a problem of body and mind, but we have accepted body and mind as ourselves. So therefore we are suffering in ignorance. So one has to be conscious slowly and slowly, slowly. Therefore, all the time this knowledge of soul is so important. Prabhupada many lectures, repetition, same repetition, that we are not this body, we are soul. So any problem, because the first and foremost thing which is required to overcome ignorance is knowledge. Until we are perfected being, the first and foremost thing what is required to overcome ignorance is knowledge. So one who is always knowledgeable, always thinking, I'm not this body, I'm soul, I'm not this body, I'm soul. This problem is a bodily problem, this is a mental problem, this is ego problem. When he identifies his problem like that, so then he can be conscious and he can take decision properly. So it is said we can be in transcendence in our life when we use our intelligence, which is surcharged with spiritual knowledge. So we can also be in transcendence, but at what level? Intelligence level. Use your intelligence that I'm not this body, and then find the solution. But if somebody does not use it and remain attached, then he cannot find the solution. Soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable. Now some people now they are thinking that we should have dharma, artha, kam, moksha in our livelihood. Dharma, artha, kam, moksha. If we bring those concepts now, dharma, artha, kam, moksha. So one thing, for living dharma, artha, kam, moksha, people used to think of many lives to perfect. Dharma, artha, काम, जब काम करते करते धर्म अर्थ काम, so many lives goes away, then I become frustrated, then I will go for liberation. But in our Vaishnava dharma we clearly understand our process is nivritti marg, where we are soul, we are not this body. So Krishna is not teaching any dharma artha काम moksha in Bhagavad Gita. He is teaching the whole process of sacrificing your result to God, becoming detached from the result. The beginning happens of Bhagavad Gita in that way only. You are not this body, you are soul. This is a spiritual knowledge, surely, and material knowledge is all dharma, artha, kam, moksha. So then when somebody lives with that idea of dharma, artha, kam, moksha, then he has to also prepare himself, or he has to be prepared in mind that I will take many lives to understand God or to go to kingdom of God. But if one has to go to kingdom of God within 1 or 2 lives or 3 lives, 4 lives, so then he has to take up the spiritual knowledge very nicely. He has to work hard, because even though working so much hard also, spiritual perfection is not very easy, which we think many times, बहुत आसान है, बन जा, हो जाता है. Prabhupada has said 16 rounds, if we chant 4 regulative principles we follow, then he will take us back to Godhead. Yes, we can have faith on it, but we cannot only rely on this. We have to work more than that. If we only rely on that, so then we are not serious candidate actually. We have to rely more on our spiritual endeavor. और कितना मैं कर रहा हूँ. Therefore, you don't find people only following 16 round and 4 regulative. Whole 24 hours they are trying to remain Krishna conscious. Yes, actually. So soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable. Soul cannot be seen. So therefore, when somebody says, "Can you show me soul in microscope?" you can say directly that soul is avyakta. It's not vyakta. You cannot put soul in your microscope. Inconceivable means what? It's an inconceivable, achintya. Most of the spiritual subject matter achintya. तो सोल अचिंत्य मतलब इतना बड़ा शरीर को सोल चला कैसे रहा है, अचिंत्य है, बता नहीं सकते आप. सोल उड़ सकता है, कहीं भी बैठ सकता है, कहीं भी जा सकता है, अचिंत्य है. इसके पीछे लॉजिक काम नहीं करता, अचिंत्य. यू कैनॉट थिंक अबाउट इट. Achintya, immutable. All material situations cannot affect the soul. Immutable. तो inconceivable भी है and immutable also. So we can see the word अव्यक्ता, अचिंत्य, अविकार्य, immutable, unchangeable. So Prabhupada says that magnitude of soul is very small, and so from material calculation he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. It is invisible, very very small. Now somebody can say, but if we can go to that much extent of seeing the element, can we see? Again, soul is spiritual. It is not said here that it is seen, it's invisible. So Prabhupada is giving one fact that it's very small, so therefore you cannot see. But otherwise also the soul cannot be seen with material eyes. Because we cannot see intelligence with material eyes, we cannot see ego, and soul is more subtler than material intelligence and ego. We have to accept the truth that because there is no other source of understanding the existence of soul, and we have so only ground on which we have to accept the soul is superior authority or the shruti, the Vedic wisdom. Like you mentioned, authority on the authority of mother, a father can be known. Who is the father? So Vedas are mother and father is God. So Vedas say here is a God, here is a soul, here is a super soul, accept it. So then one has to accept. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except the authority of mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding of the soul except the studying the Vedas. And just imagine, that's why when Vedas are neglected, or you can say rejected by modern people, then where is the question to understand the soul? When Buddha, he said, I don't follow Vedas. Don't follow Vedas. So basically, he rejected the path of understanding spirituality. Yes? And then Shankaracharya has to, in emergency, has to bring back that Vedic literature by somehow convincing, oh, we are all one, all one. Supreme God and we all are one. So he need not to teach how we are two and we are separate, we are quantitatively separate and we are qualitatively one. He need not to do all such things. हम सभी एक है, हम सभी एक है. ब्रह्म सत्य जगत मिथ्या. Or means aham brahmasmi. I am the supreme Brahman. So he has to, in emergency, he has to bring that Vedas once, because without Vedas you cannot begin spiritual life. Without Vedas you cannot understand the existence of a spirit. Vedas has to be there. You will not find even in Christianity there are mention of some, you can say, some facts like reincarnations. But how the Vedas put the facts, that is not, it's not mentioned in that way. Only some cases like here reincarnation happened, there reincarnation happened, some stories are mentioned here and there. So but the Vedas give the fact. So spirituality cannot be accepted without the Vedas. Vedas has to be there, otherwise the soul's existence cannot be confirmed. And modern science, because they don't follow any religion or any spiritual books, text, Vedas also, so therefore they are bereft of this knowledge, and they want to do experiment and find it out, which is not possible, which Prabhupada mentions here. It is not possible by experimental knowledge. So therefore there is no scope for modern science to open any God conscious university in the whole world, because these people are only dependent upon experimental knowledge. They can never research out any kind of spiritual science in their laboratory. तो वो कभी कर नहीं पाएंगे, लेकिन फिर भी वो उसके पीछे पड़े हुए. First show us God, then we'll believe. So Prabhupada says here we find Lord is repeating the again and again the nature of the soul. The repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Yes. Okay, now so Mataji can read. कौन पढ़ेगा?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, you can read. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं सोचितुमर्हसि.
If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of the life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty arm.
Now
Perfect.
yes, purport you can read. Okay, see here. Okay, I will read. I will ठीक है मैं पढ़ता हूँ. देखिए here now there is a different turn now. Now Krishna has told all the property of the soul. Now he is taking one turn. Now he is saying कि okay Arjuna, if you think the soul is always born and dies, if you think the soul is always born and dies forever, then you have no reason to lament. So now Krishna is proving now. पहले वो क्या बोले कि सोल को मरता ही नहीं है, सोल तो जन्म भी नहीं लेता, सोल इम्यूटेबल है, अक्लेद्य, अछेद्य, अदाह्य, अव्यक्ता, all these things. So now you believe on soul. Now Krishna is saying, okay, even if you don't believe all such properties of the soul or qualities of the soul, now I say the soul takes birth and soul dies also. चलो उसमें भी लैमेंट करने का जरूरत नहीं है. कैसे? तो then he telling this lokayatikas and vaibhasikas. These are two philosophies of Buddhist. So what is Buddhist accept? Because Buddhists they don't accept Vedas. So then they have to concoct something. So what they are concocting? So such philosophers maintain that life symptom takes place at certain mature condition of material combination. The modern material science and materialistic philosophers also think the similarly. Means the same Buddhist का philosophy लेके बैठे हैं हमारे modern scientist. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at a certain stage of life, symptoms develops by interaction of the physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo religions now becoming fashionable in America and also adhering to this philosophy, as are the nihilistic non-devotional Buddhist sect. So Buddhists they don't accept the existence of soul separate from body. So they are accepting that soul and or whatever you say the soul or life is nothing but combination of matter only. At certain time, due to interaction of matter, life comes. This is what the scientist also says. So okay, so basically the life is nothing but a matter, they are saying. So then Prabhupada says, even if the Arjuna did not believe in existence of soul, as in the Vaibhasika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for lamentation, because if some bulk of chemical is lost, why you are lamenting so much? Like if body is made up of chemical and matter only, so कहीं थोड़ा गुम हो गया, chemical थोड़ा खत्म हो गया, तो क्या बात है? Why you are lamenting then? Then he mentions also modern science and scientific warfare. They are using lot of chemicals for killing people, for destroying some country. So they are not lamenting. अरे मेरा atom bomb का उतना सारा chemical खत्म हो गया. अरे मैंने nuclear bomb छोड़ा तो उतना chemical खत्म हो गया. They are not lamenting. So when your body is also one chemical only, chemical का bunch of chemical only, वो भी खत्म हो गया तो why are you lamenting? So even if you accept the Buddhist philosophy also, why you should lament? Clear na? So Krishna is teaching the scientific, our science. Krishna is now material science की तरफ प्रचार कर रहे हैं भगवान. So according to the Vaibhasika philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atmic soul, or he did not believe in the existence of soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, so there is no need to grieve for such incident. Yes. If there were no rebirth for the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being affected by sinful reactions due to killing his grandfather and teachers. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addresses Arjuna as Mahabaho, because mighty armed. He at least did not accept the theory of Vaibhasikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. So Krishna is not saying actually Mahabhava means he is a mighty armed Arjuna. He is not going to take up this theory of chemical evolution, that we are all born from chemicals. So if we are all born from chemical, how the next life can exist? How can any activity, if I do right or wrong, I will be accountable for that? How? Because I am going to finish now at death. So then I will not suffer, or I will not enjoy whatever I have done in my life. So then you cannot prove the law of karma through this philosophy. That this philosophy is surely wrong. Therefore, scientists do not believe in law of karma. They don't believe in existence of soul, And so they have concocted this philosophy that life is nothing but transformation of matter or chemicals. So Buddhists are also similar actually. ये साइंटिस्ट बुद्धिस्ट ही होगा कहीं तो therefore he has concocted this philosophy. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्यर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि.
ಅದೆಲ್ಲ కొంచెంసేపు క్లాస్ ముచ్చుకో క్లోజ్
Mataji, yes, you can read.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. One has to take birth according to one's activity of life, and after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. The cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war was inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of the sinful act of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action.
He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to reactions of sinful acts. So he should, of which he was so afraid. So because it was the will of the Lord, he was not breaking the law. So one thing Prabhupada mentions here, again, this knowledge of soul should not be misutilized for doing violence. Okay, nobody is going to die anyway. He will take next birth. Like somebody can say, now, okay, I am killing him. He will take next birth. Whatever karma he has done, he will take next birth. So now I will kill him. So then he says, no, you cannot do that. Unnecessary murder is not supported by this verse. This verse does not say unnecessary murder. Nobody can do unnecessary murder here. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society. So these two things are there. So whenever violence are there, violence and war are there, so then one has to understand this philosophy that anyway all souls are going to give up their bodies and they're going to take new bodies. But when there is a peace and calm and a right situation, so then that time one has to do the duty of a human to upgrade the consciousness of the soul, basically self-realization, the duty of self-realization. So both way, the soul has to be taken care properly. One cannot kill the body just because of a certain greed of eating meat or certain greed of property, greed of for a country. One cannot kill like that. And at the same time, whenever there are some inevitable wars, one has to fight that war and then kill that body. So both things are mentioned here. अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तम अद्यानि भारत अव्यक्त निधि धान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना.
All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
इसका ना इधर है बरसाना गेट.
Okay, here all created beings are unmanifest in the beginning, manifest in interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what is the need for the lamentation? So basically, until the living entity gets a body, he remains unmanifested. Unmanifest means he's there in some form, in some, and then in this world he has taken the birth in certain form. So then we are seeing that living entity, and after death he will again gone, and he will go to somewhere else. Accepting that these two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of soul and other in not believing in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by the followers of the Vedic wisdom. Yet even if for the argument's sake we accept the atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. So from the subtle state of non-manifestation comes manifestation, just from, like we will read in second canto and third canto, how the creation is done. From ether, air is generated. From air, fire is generated. So see, ether is more subtler than air, and then air is more subtler than fire, and then fire is more subtler than water, and water is more subtler than earth. So from subtle, gross things are getting generated. Actually, this is the whole understanding. So in beginning, actually, everything was unmanifested. Yes, and then slowly it got manifested. This is the whole understanding. So earlier it was unmanifested, again it got manifested, and later again after annihilation it will be finished. Again it will be gone. So taking an example, a big skyscraper manifested from earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as the atom in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in the course of time things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation either in the stage of manifestation or in unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle they are manifest. And this does not make any real material difference. So we are understanding before life it was unmanifested, and after life it was unmanifested. So therefore law of conservation is there. The element still is there when we consider material terms. Okay, soul is a matter. Okay, soul is a matter, the life is a matter. So even matter also, before manifestation it is unmanifested, and after manifestation again it is destroyed, it becomes unmanifested. So why you are lamenting again for matter? Because it's there in the surrounding, you can find it. And if we accept the Vedic conclusion in the Bhagavad Gita that these material bodies are perishable due to due course of time, antavanti me deha, and the soul is nitya sokta sharirina, then we must remember that body is like a dress, and therefore why lament changing the dress? Material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream we may think flying in the sky, sitting on a chariot, but when we wake up we can see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages the self-realization on the basis of non-existence of material body. Just see, the Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of non-existence of material body. This material body is non-existing. It is only existing in dream. It is only existing in dream. That's why we said the self-understanding, the basis of all understanding. Until the self-understanding comes, Atma, and I'm not this body, I'm Atma. All understandings are illusory actually. What we are thinking in the dream. So okay, whether the body which we have is a dream body or it is a real body. So body is not a personality. This body is not a personality. This body is always a dress. But when we see or think this body as a personality, that is a dream. That is what dream we are taking. This body is never a personality. It is simply a combination of matter. Yes. But we are thinking that this body is a personality. Personality is the Atma only. But Atma is thinking this body is a personality. So Atma is considering some dead matter as a personality. and that's why it's a dream. But when he comes to consciousness, then he says, Are, this is not a personality only. I am the personality. Then what is that body? And that body is nothing matter only. That is dead body. But right now what we are thinking, it is a personality. ये कोई पर्सन है, संतोष है, राजू है, सीमा है, शीतल है. This is a personality. So we are giving names, we are giving form to that personality through our imagination. The soul is imagining that this body is a personality. And when we become attracted to personality of this body, we are basically affected by anarthas. When you become attracted to the soul, it is love. When you become attracted to bodily personality, it becomes lust. So lust, all anarthas. Anartha means without artha. It has no meaning, unnecessary attachment. So that is called anartha. So fulfilling the needs of body, fulfilling the needs of body according to dharma, according to the state of a living being, that is again, it's an anartha, but again the scripture allows, okay, do it. But it's anartha. Real artha is working for the soul. Yes, Prabhu, kya question?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to that miss we are in dreaming condition that whatever the today's material body. So miss soul, miss for me the today's material body is that I am a man. This is my I'm thinking like the soul is thinking like it is dreaming in dreaming. But in spiritual, in Vaikuntha, we are in spiritual form. But there is a form like a hand, feet, all these things are there also. But so that also not miss. How can here also we understand that this body is dreaming because the spiritual also have form, some form, and here the soul is considering this form is matter or in this body is dreaming in. How can means?
See, spiritual form is your form. Like that form is non-different than the soul. That form is non-different from the soul. That form is exactly you. That is called Sarupa. Sarupa. So you can understand in one way or other way, like in normal life also. Even if you're in illusion state right now, when we grow, we understand it's my growth only, mera hi sharir hai. This is my body only. But this is an illusion according to Shastra, because we are not material body. In the similar way, spiritual body also, that is not an illusion. That is our real body. Same concept, same concepts actually, same thing. The soul is here attached to the material body, thinking that material body is his own. When we become attached to spiritual body, that will be our real body, because that time that body is our real body. And whatever consciousness, because you cannot remain in spiritual body with material consciousness. The soul cannot get spiritual body in material consciousness. He can only get material body in material consciousness. We are right now having material consciousness, so we are getting material body. So we have to purify our consciousness to spiritual. Then you will get spiritual consciousness or spiritual body. So like that. But that body is our own body. Our own body. According to the rasa we have developed. Like what is the soul? We understand the soul is very subtle. So when we grow more in later bhakti, then raga nuga, then certain kind of bhava we want to develop, like somebody wants to become a gopa, so then gopa bhava. So then he will be aspiring, I want to become gopa, I want to serve Krishna. So then Krishna will give a facility to serve in that body as a gopa, how to serve me in that way. So like that. So this body is also according to our desire. This body is given. I want to be in a human body to enjoy, but there I want to be in a gopa body to serve, like that. The body will be given. Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just an extension to what Mahadev Krishna Prabhuji asked. Like, even our soul is also having hands, legs in the spiritual way. Like, we are not able to perceive it at this point in time. Because this is what I understood also, that this body that I'm having right now, it's like a fitting on my body, but these clothes are fitting on my body. The body that I'm having is actually taking that shape of my
Correct.
spiritual body, right?
Correct.
Is the understanding correct?
uh, means what you're saying, again, can you say?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like even in when we in our spiritual entity, which is me as a soul, soul also has hands, legs, eyes,
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
And this body, the material body that I have at this point in time, like how I wear my clothes, like I have like consider like my this body is like my body, but when I'm wearing this t-shirt, it is properly coming in that shape that my t-shirt is also having hands and my t-shirt is
Correct,
also
correct, correct.
having legs,
Hmm.
right? So this is how the understanding is, right? Is the understanding correct?
See, there are two things here. Like when somebody says that why the soul, how the soul gets animal body, then somebody can think, okay, soul also is like an animal, and so the body which is getting is fitting to the soul's body. So there you will be failing to accommodate this understanding.
Okay.
Then if somebody become insect, so whether soul has become insect and so the body has also become insect, no, it's not like that. It's not like that actually. So therefore we cannot, because it is mentioned here, achintya, such a great body like an elephant, a small soul is running. So the soul it need not to have a what we call trunk. सूंड होने की जरूरत नहीं है उसको. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Swati Mataji, what is your question? Okay. So like that. So therefore, we cannot impose our bodily understanding on the soul, but we have to understand from the spiritual truths. Yes. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदे आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवत् चैनम् अन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येन वेद न चैव कश्चित्.
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all.
Okay. So here it's amazing. This verse is called amazing verse. Ashcharya. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions the Ashcharya means not able to understand, basically. Not able to understand, that is called Ashcharya. Surprising. So what Prabhupada says here, in Gita, since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principle of Upanishad, it is not surprising to find this passage in Katha Upanishad. So the Katha Upanishad also says this thing, कि atomic soul is within the body of gigantic animal, in the body of gigantic banyan tree, also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only a space of inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of his individual atomic spark of spirit. Even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons to even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe, owing to the gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become so both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matter of sense gratification, they have little time, they have very little time to understand the question of self understanding. Even though it is a fact that without this self understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Prabhupada is saying the same thing here. Recognizing the soul is so important rather than solving the worldly problem. One has to spend time for recognizing the soul and trying to understand that soul. And how here mentions is something that one has to be, one has to hear from authority, one has to also become austere, spend time in contemplation and in purifying oneself to understand the existence of soul actually. Because it's ascharya. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by the acceptance of super soul and atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. So this we quite know that yes, this is a Mayavad. Okay. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of super soul and atomic soul, their respective functions and relationship. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul, who is able to describe the position of the soul in the different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of soul, then one's life will become successful. Just see, yeah, it's nice. Like yesterday, some boys from GK Gurukul came to our temple. So one boy was asking a question that I went this Isha Foundation, Sadguru. Sadguru is my relative, and I asked a question to him: can you teach me tantra and mantra? Sadguru told some mantra tantra he said, and then I asked. So he asked me that can you teach me? So I said that why do you want to learn tantra and mantra? So he said I don't know, but he taught me. And then I said, did you understand what he taught you? So then he said no, I could not understand. So then I said to something is happening here. 1 minute. ये annotation बंद करना पड़ेगा. ठीक. So then I said, you have to understand that you are not this body or soul. This is very highest knowledge, more than your tantra and mantra. Surely there are many in between knowledge are there, which can be very fantastic and wonderful for many people. So I said to him, these all yogis, they are producing many wonderful feats to attract our people. But actually, these yogis also later they will understand that these are all useless things. Because simply showing gymnastic, this is no use. Because बाद में समझ में उसको भी आता है कि मैंने अपना समय बर्बाद कर दिया. Actually, I have to look for something spiritual in life. So this all tantra and mantra is simply waste of time. So Prabhupada here mentioning that the soul's knowledge is so hidden or so misunderstood that if somebody can somehow get this real understanding of the soul knowledge, his life becomes successful, because then he can really start his journey of understanding the super soul or the Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. He becomes samah sarveshu bhuteshu. He starts seeing all living entities equal at that level of the soul. He does not get become attracted to somebody or does not hanker for something or lamenting for something. He is having the equipoised vision. At that position, he is not affected by any material things, and then he can focus clearly on absolute truth. Actually, bhakti start at that level only when somebody comes to Brahma Bhuta stage. Till that time, bhakti is simply warm up. Warm up is going on. Yes, bro. Kya question hai?
Prabhuji, we see that we have like impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Okay. So when Prabhupada writes about like absolute truth, so is he talking about Paramatma or Bhagwan? Because we know about like Brahman, that's like clear. Okay, it's like Mayavadi is impersonal, absolute is zero and all. But when we see that siddhis, there's some people who are doing stunts, gymnastic, and lot of yoga siddhis, they also meditate a lot on Paramatma to get that peace of mind, and then they meditate on to get these siddhis. So when Prabhupada writes about absolute truth, what is speaking like
No.
Bhagavat after?
See, one thing, you cannot see Paramatma until you become, you can say, indifferent to the siddhis. If you are becoming affected by the siddhis, so this dhyana on Paramatma, before you reach to the dhyana, this siddhis comes before that. After you give up this siddhi, means you are not affected by the siddhis. You have the siddhi, no issue, but you are still not affected by that, and then continuing your meditation. Then you can see Paramatma. So Paramatma seeing it comes later. Prabhupada mentions that if yogi becomes bewildered by such siddhi, then he will withdraw himself from going further. But he has to go ahead. because this is a material thing and you are going for a spiritual thing. So for a spiritual thing you have to give up material all siddhis. You should not be attached. Okay, this can be used later, but this should not be attached. So like that. And another thing, absolute truth, param satya, it has three features to understand: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan. So actually absolute truth in personality, he is a Bhagwan only. In personality absolute परम सत्य भगवान ही है, लेकिन परम सत्य को तीन तरीकों से समझा जा सकता है अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिसेप्टिविटी ऑफ द person who is going to understand. If he is a Brahmavadi, he cannot have brain to understand the personality properly. So then he will only understand as he is a Brahman. If he is a yogi person, he does not have any devotee to tell him how you can offer food to Krishna. So he will only see Paramatma in Santaras. He is not serving Paramatma. He is just seeing Paramatma. Just dekh raha hai. So when it comes to service, then he becomes devotee. So Param Satya, when you start serving him, then you have to be devotee, and the Param Satya has to turn himself as a Bhagwan. But if Param Satya we want to see as Antaryami in our heart, who knows everything, and who controls this whole material world, and we want to see who is that person, who is so important person, who is running everything, and we want to see with amazement, then that Param Satya is the Paramatma. And Brahman means who is all pervading energy. So Brahman is what? Brahman is nothing but the expansion of energy of the Lord. It's an energy expansion. So Krishna is standing, and then from his bodily rays so much expansion is there. Like sun god in the sun, the expansion, the sunlight is nothing but the sun rays coming from the sun god. Now sun god, you don't think sun god this wala sun god. Sun actually in the sun there is a Narayan only. He is simply representative actually. The sun is nothing but
Surya Narayan.
Surya Narayan. So sun is nothing but actually it's a Brahma Jyoti only. In this material world, Brahma Jyoti is shown through sun. Like on sun, everything is resting. Prabhupada gives an example. On sun, if sun is not there, no planets can exist, no life can exist in this whole world. So how this can happen? Because he then says that like if Krishna is not there, Krishna has not expanded in the world, then nothing exists. In the similar way, Krishna, Brahma Jyoti is there, so then Krishna, for the first creation here, like sun, and then through sun he pervades everywhere. Means the material energy is pervading everywhere. On that energy, everything is resting. So Prabhupada gives this example, like on Krishna's energy, everything is resting. In the similar way, on the sun energy, everything is resting. तो प्रभुपाद कंपेयर्स द ब्रह्मन एनर्जी जिस पे सब कुछ एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, सारे यूनिवर्स एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं ब्रह्मन पे, उसी तरीके से सन पे सारे प्लैनेट्स एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं. सो लाइक दैट. बट श्योरली द सनलाइट इज अ मटीरियल, it's a material, it's a transformation of Brahman only, but it's a material actually. It's a material energy like that. And Brahman is a spiritual energy. It's not a material energy. Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hi, Hare Krishna.
Actually, why the Vedas are explaining Supreme Personality of Godhead in an impersonal way, most of the things, like what is the reason? That is a big, let's give them a strong proof that argument wise also, so many Vedas are explaining Ishopanishad and all, indirect way of the Lord is the kind of impersonal. Why so much emphasize on impersonalism in the Vedas, or why not a person?
See, correct, right, good question. You find in the Vedas 90% Vedas speak about karma kanda. So where in karma kanda you find moksha? There is no question of moksha. Karma kanda means dharma artha kama moksha. So when you consider karma kanda, means karma kanda is simply considering about dharma artha kam bas. So means Veda mostly speaking about dharma artha kam. Now if the Vedas have to introduce some supreme lord, some atma, some spirit, so then they have to talk about moksha, and in the very small subject they are touching moksha, and so therefore the moksha means impersonal Brahman. They will talk about impersonal Brahman. And surely now the Puranas, Prabhupada mentioned the Upanishad and the Puranas basically, they talk about the transcendence part. Transcendence. Therefore, you find in Purana so many stories actually. In Vedas, basically, you find maximum karma kand, maximum. Because उनका goal क्या है सबको to provide everyone good facility to enjoy this material world. Dharma, artha, kam. And once you become frustrated, then you will take to moksha. But after frustration. So then Vedas cannot give so much guidance about what you will, how the absolute truth has the three features. ये उतना उनको बताने का जरूरत ही नहीं, मतलब क्योंकि maximum people are in this zone only. प्रवृत्ति मार्ग, धर्म अर्थ काम. So like that. But Puranas and Upanishad, they take out very special verses from Vedas or some stories. Puranas are like a stories confirming the Vedic truth, and the Upanishads are what they are called the head of the Vedas. So what are Upanishads? Upanishads are nothing but the statements taken from Vedas only, and then there are selected statements which are made into 108 Upanishads. And these statements are talking about transcendence. They are not talking about any karma kanda. No. Upanishad never talk about karma kanda. They are basically books for jnanis, sannyasis. And Vedas are mostly books for the brahmanas, impersonalist. Means basically जिनको कर्म कांड करना है. Vedas उनके लिए ही रहते हैं. और Upanishad sannyasis के लिए रहते हैं. So now in the Vedas also, so these मतलब मोटा मोटा समझा रहे हैं. So now these Upanishad are meant for that. So now if a person karma kandi has to come to Gyan Kand and look for some Vedic statements of absolute Brahman, so then he goes to Upanishad. तो Upanishad में उसको बहुत confuse किया जाता है कि ब्रह्मन ऐसा दिखता है, वैसा दिखता है, वैसा दिखता है, वैसा दिखता है. So then he has to meet a proper guru. If he meets a Vaishnava guru, then he understands properly. Otherwise, it's correct that Ved Vyas has in one sense confused to made it very complex. Therefore, even the words of Vedantas, Vedant का भी बहुत ही complex है. And it is said that earlier people intelligence was very highly complex, or you can say they were highly intelligent. तो उनको ऐसे सीधे सीधे समझा नहीं सकते कि देखो भाई भगवान परमात्मा ऐसा, इसलिए उनको घुमा घुमा के समझाते थे, अलग अलग एनालॉजी लेके समझाते थे चीज़ों को, so that the people will understand is a very big subject, very big subject. Yeah, it's there. So the truth is not directly kept, that is correct. And that's why Narad Muni mentions in the 4th chapter of 1st canto in Bhagavatam, कि Ved Vyas ji, are you happy by considering the soul as a body and mind? Because you have explained a lot of body and mind in your scriptures, and people will misunderstand soul as a body and mind. I am foreseeing that. So he questions Ved Vyas ji कि अभी खुश हो क्या? चलो ठीक है, उसमें खुश नहीं. Are you happy with your Vedanta, which is basically explaining about impersonal Brahman too much? अथा तो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा. अथा तो भगवान जिज्ञासा क्यों नहीं, ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा क्यों बोले? So anyway, means he is not directly explaining it. He is keeping a scope for ज्ञानीज. ज्ञानीज means those who speculate a lot. Speculators के लिए बहुत स्कोप दिया है उन्होंने, इसलिए उन्होंने बोला भागवत लिखो अभी. That's why he said write a Bhagavad. So you have to understand this world is not made up of devotees. This world is made up of karmis, jnanis, a lot. Full भरा पड़ा है. अभी just recently we went for some condolence giving lecture. So one day one Prabhu spoke on Bhagavad Gita, and then I spoke on Bhagavatam. So then the organizer said, what is going on here? I'm not understanding. Some of you are coming and speaking Gita, some is speaking Bhagavatam. Where am I? अरे कुछ तो एक प्रॉपर सिलेबस दो. So we asked, what do you want? He said, I want to complete Gita 18 chapters in one go, in 9 days. So I said, it is very difficult for you to understand 18 chapters, very philosophical. He said, nothing going, just complete it. I don't sell your bhakti here. He was saying, don't sell your bhakti here. So I said, Gita is teaching bhakti only. So he said, no, Gita is teaching karma kand, Gita is teaching karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. Gita is teaching so many things. Why don't you focus on that? So I was thinking, if I read Prabhupada's purport, everywhere Prabhupada says only bhakti, only bhakti, only. So how will I make him understand? So people are mostly are looking for karma kanda enjoyment. Most of the rich people, big rich people, they don't want to surrender to Krishna immediately, and that's why the Vedas were there earlier. But now problem is what now? Vedas can only be recited by Brahmanas, and there is no Brahmana in Kali Yuga, and Vedas have been lost also. तो फिर अब करेंगे क्या solution इसका? So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the incarnation of this age. He said that you have to chant holy name. To whatever, if we can bring back certain things, then it is okay, well and good. Otherwise, somebody has to chant and get those things, material benefit from the Lord only, from Supreme Lord. Akamo sarvo kamo, moksha kamo dardi. Whatever kama desire is there, get it from the Lord only by chanting holy name. And in future, more some things may come up with more research in our Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. It may come up, but ultimately the path is bhakti only given. Either it is a mixed bhakti or a Suddha bhakti. Other paths are closed now, क्योंकि उसके लिए रास्ता ही नहीं बचा है, कोई है ही नहीं ब्राह्मण प्रॉपर, कोई वर्णाश्रम भी नहीं है, ब्राह्मण भी नहीं है, फिर कैसे होगा? So that is why, and Vedas are also lost. Vedas भी चला गया, खत्म हो गया. 96%, 94% Vedas are lost. Only 6% are remaining. So this is I have heard from Kanaya Krishna Prabhu. He was saying 94% Vedas is lost and only 6% is remaining. So 6% Vedas में क्या करेंगे आप? तो अभी जो भी चल रहा है वो पता नहीं क्या चल रहा है बाहर, वैदिक गुरुकुल कैसे चल रहे हैं? So because most of things are lost. So some samhitas are there, they are reading those samhitas, but the Vedas are very vast. Okay, this is last. So देहि नित्यम अवद्योयम देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मा सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि.
O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
So Krishna is again saying, don't have a grief, now get up and fight. Don't have a grief, get up and fight. Don't have a grief, get up and fight. बार बार बोल रहे हैं भगवान, बार बोल रहे हैं. So grief is very severe grief. That's why he's again saying. Krishna is very enthusiastic here to encourage Arjuna. Immediately खड़े हो जा, लड़ाई कर. मतलब सोच रहे भगवान दूसरे चैप्टर में गीता खत्म करना है. So much time, so many times he's saying, get up. So he now Lord concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit, 11 to 30, that is a Sankhya. So this is the last shloka. Lord Krishna establishes the soul is immortal and body is temporary. Therefore Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty or out of fear that the grandfather and teacher Bhishma or Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul or the living symptom develop at certain stage of material maturity, resulting from the interaction of chemicals. Though soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the at the time of the war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That must be justified in the terms of sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. So we discussed that part also. During war, one has to fight. Swadharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmyadhi yudyat shreyo anyat kshatriyasya cha vidyate.
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation.
So now Prabhupada mentions about the duty of a Kshatriya. Kshat means heart, and Traya means Trayate, to give protection. So give protection from hurt. Somebody is getting hurt, you should give him protection. That is called Kshatriya. So one who protects somebody from getting hurt, he is called Kshatriya. So if he has to protect somebody from getting hurt, it means he has to also hurt that person who is giving him hurt. So it means he has to commit violence, basically. Yes, that's why the name Kshatriya can only be given nowadays. Name Kshatriya is given only for administrator, केवल जो बस मैनेजमेंट करता है, हाँ, बट मैनेजमेंट में भी कई बार झगड़ा करना पड़ता है कि नहीं? मैनेजमेंट विदाउट झगड़ा होता ही नहीं है, या यू कैन से मैनेजमेंट टेक्स लॉट ऑफ हीट ऑफ और ब्रेन, बहुत हीटेड हो जाता है मैनेजमेंट में, है कि नहीं? जब डिवोटीज को भी मैनेज करना पड़ता है, जैसे मान लो 500 लोग आगे, उनको खिलाना पिलाना है, कितना मैनेजमेंट हैवी हो जाता है, टू मच. It's a good administration. So surely Vaishnavas they never fight, but it's mentioned Kshatriya duties are not only for administration. Kshatriya duties basically also to remove the anti-elements and to protect the right people, to govern, उनको govern करना. तो Kshatriya's activities are PAW, PAW, protection, administration and welfare. These three things are the activities of Kshatriya: protection, administration and welfare. So protection, he does protection from the anti-elements, anti-social elements, and administration means he makes sure that people follow their varnashram dharma properly engaged. Administration should be like that. सबको जॉब लगना चाहिए, सब अपने कार्य करने चाहिए. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ये होता है, सब बराबर मैनेज रहे, सब लोग सब अपना धर्म के काम करते रहे. वेलफेयर मीन्स ही हैज़ टू worry about their spiritual growth also. Not only everybody is engaged with material thought process है, चलो मैं अपना ये करूँगा. No, spiritual means the Kshatriyas have to also and organize some Bhagavad Katha, Ramayana, Mahabharata, like that. So I heard very nice statement. One devotee was saying कि Max Muller for 4 years he researched in India, and he wrote a statement, British Max Muller, कि I could not find a single man in India who is a dishonest and a thief. जो बेईमान व्यक्ति और चोर है, मैंने को एक भी व्यक्ति नहीं दिखा. 4 साल मैंने घूम के देख लिया. तो देन एंड लेटर ही सेड why it is actually because in India people morning and evening they are reading Mahabharata and Ramayana. Because of this Mahabharata and Ramayana, these people they don't have bad character. This is amazing thing. And he also later mentions that India has so many gurukulas, 7 lakh, like that. But the thing is that he also considers the India education is so highly elevated. Spirituality is there. The morals are not just said by the people or by the schools. Learn from home. This is not our duty. Morals are taught in morning schedule and evening schedule. Morals को पढ़ाया जाता है. And these morals are not only local morals or you can say simple. They are also the morals for one's life, spiritual morals, religious morals, like that. They are taught. So ये पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए ना, तभी तो जाके उसमें कल्चर आएगा. So Kshatriyas mentioned here. So Kshatriyas especially trained for challenging and killing because the religious violence is sometimes necessary factor. What Prabhupada says, religious violence, Prabhupada's word. See, it means Kshatriya is a religious person, and the violence he is committing for right cause is also religious. It's a religious. अभी क्षत्रिय नहीं है, इसीलिए तो प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. अभी बांग्लादेश, somebody is catching some devotee and doing something. Why? There's no Kshatriya. All these Sudras people simply sitting and eating a lot of money. So पैसा खा रहे हैं. क्षत्रिय नहीं है. Kshatriya, the one business of why Kshatriya should become fearful of some other party means he does not have guts only to fight. The guts has to be there. And so, nowadays people are fearful. If I fight, then that country may attack me. So now just see, very important to understand. Now, earlier if some Kshatriya was powerful, he would see, I can spread my dharma of the Lord or the dharma of scriptures in other states, then I can go and fight with him, or he has to submit to me. So earlier people, the more they were powerful, the more they will be taking the kingdom or making the kingdom bigger and bigger. Like Lord Ramachandra, they were Aswamedh Yagya was there. So he was the king of the whole world. But now if India remains only constrained to India, बस यहीं पे रहना है, यही मैं राजा, यहीं का राजा हूं मैं बस. Either you know dharma or no dharma means you are not a Kshatriya. Kshatriya means you have to expand. You cover the whole world. What is the problem? Whole world becomes India. Can you cover? No, Kshatriya है ही नहीं ना. No Kshatriya is there. He cannot cover only. So just we are concerned. वो इंडिया, इंडिया मतलब ये भारत माता का जो सर है वो जम्बू है, पैर है कन्याकुमारी, शेर का गुजरात, उसकी पूंछ बंगाल और आसाम. दिस इज ओनली इंडिया. भारत माता की जय. So earlier Kshatriyas used to overpower these all wrong people and they used to make them submit. Okay, chalo, submit karo, and you have to follow the dharma, what I am saying. That was a monarch system. Now democracy system means they have been given allotted area. Chalo, India, this is your India. This is Pakistan, this is America. And all these people are trying to do something गड़बड़, इधर उधर करते रहते हैं गड़बड़ कंट्री के बीच में उसको, और ये लोग अपना बॉर्डर का बना के बैठे, तो सब लोग डरे हुए हैं एक्चुअली. Everybody is fearful. And it is said more than 50% of economy is spent or wealth is spent for maintaining military forces in all countries. इतना क्यों डरे हुए हो बाबा? क्योंकि प्रॉपर सिस्टम ही नहीं है, कोई क्षत्रिय है ही नहीं, सब शूद्र लोग बैठे हुए, सबको खिलाया जा रहा है, पिलाया जा रहा है, और एक गन बना के रखा है, उसको गन और बॉम्ब से मारना है, दूर 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 दूर, यही सब चल रहा है. So it's not that because we are living in Kali Yuga, but it's because there's no training proper. There's no goal only that there should be Brahmana, there should be Kshatriya. No goal for training, no education. So if in a battlefield a king or Kshatriya while fighting another king envious of him is eligible for achieving the heavenly planet after death. Okay, this is another thing Prabhupada says. If some Kshatriya is getting killed also, he will go to heavenly planet. Because he is fighting a religious war. See, anybody who is a religious person, to whomsoever he will fight, it is called religious war. Because he is having a religion in mind. He will not fight unnecessarily. Like when Parikshit is taking a sword and trying to kill Kali, he is not causing some unnecessary harm to Kali. Because Kali was beating the cow. He was beating bull and cow. So if somebody is a religious Kshatriya, whatever fight he does, it's a religious fight. And so if he dies also, he will go to heavenly planet. In the similar, it's mentioned for Brahmanas, if they perform sacrifices of animal, so then the animal gets the human body. Prabhupada mentions the animal immediately gets a human body. See, Brahmana also attend the heavenly planet by so Brahmana also attend the heavenly planet by sacrificing in fire. Basically, it means by doing the yagya, which is mentioned for the Brahmanas. So for Kshatriya yagya kya hai? Violence karna. Right violence, religious violence. And for Brahmana, what is the yagya? You offer animal into the sacrifice. That is the yagya. And for that, by doing that, he will go to heavenly planet. Both. And even animal will also get a human body. It's mentioned here. So these are the dharmas. Then Prabhupada mentions that there are two kinds of dharmas, swadharmas. So one dharma is called varnashram dharma, which is applicable till the time we are not liberated. Once we get liberated, then we take up to the another swadharma, that is duty of a soul. So Prabhupada mentions here, as long as one is not liberated, one has to perform duties of particular body in accordance to a religious principle in order to achieve liberation. And when one is liberated, one swadharma, specific duty becomes spiritual, and it is not in material bodily concept. So in the bodily conception, there are specific duties for Brahmana, Kshatriya and others also. They are unavoidable. Such swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and that will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, the swadharma is called varnashrama, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of varnashram dharma, or specific duties in terms of specific modes of material nature, nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of the higher authority serves to elevate one to the higher status of life. So this swadharma, varnashram dharma, is there for uplifting the soul from material bodily conception to slowly to spiritual life. So conditional duty, constitutional duty, we know that, we have heard many times. Conditional duty means dharma of body, constitutional means dharma of soul, like that. So this can be discussed later also. Okay, any question? किसी को question है, प्रश्न है?
I have one question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. So since Krishna never wanted us uh, be conscious about our body or our mind. We it is supposed that we are just carriers, right, of the soul. But then why he gave us mind, Prabhuji? I mean, why unnecessarily he got us involved with all this?
The soul itself has its own intelligence, its own body, its own mind. But soul can act in spiritual world, in spiritual body. Soul does not need anything else. But when soul comes to this material world, some transmitter is required, or you can say like a transformer होता है ना, right? Transformer क्या ऊंची light को छोटा कर देता है, it transforms. So then the soul has a spiritual experience in spiritual world. In this world, now the soul has to understand everything in a material way. So he needs a material mind to interpret the things. He needs material senses to enjoy material objects. Soul cannot enjoy actually. Soul cannot enjoy material objects. If you give the soul rasgulla, soul cannot eat only, because soul को तो जैसे भूत होता है. What is a प्रेत? प्रेत शरीर. The ghost body, they are always disturbed, and they are looking for some gross body to enter inside and eat some rasgulla, enjoy something, because they need gross body. That's why they can enjoy. In the similar context, if you enlarge that context, the soul needs gross body, subtle body, to understand this world, to make this world as our own self, and then to enjoy the objects of this world. So he needs all these things to enjoy this world actually. So that is why these are given. So then when we become more spiritualized, when we come to our own understanding, own consciousness, means as a spiritual conscious, Krishna consciousness, then you will find that they become also spiritualized, our mind also, other senses also, and then at last we give up all those things and we go away from this world.
Right. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. And one more thing. Now, since there are souls, and we say that it just changes the body and the soul remains eternal. Now we see that there are many, the population of the earth is ever increasing. So should we say that, and the animal population is reducing. So should we say that rather than animal, more and more souls are entering the human body? And just because it is the golden years of Kali Yuga, and as you rightly said, now already 94% of the Vedas are lost. So is it the final chance that Krishna is giving us, giving the souls to liberate and giving more human bodies?
It is difficult to say because nobody, no acharya has said like that. So one thing, but why animal population is decreasing? Because we are killing animals.
Yes.
We are killing animals. You just remove humans from this world, you will find animal population will increase by itself. Because what is the cause animals are not propagating their progenies or their generations? Why? Animals, they don't have sense only. Prakriti inspires them to propagate. It means we are killing these animals and eating. You find in America or so many countries, even in India, so many animals are every day they are getting killed. So many animals. So we have the meat food. So when so many animals, like in the lakhs the animals are killed. You find the poultry farm, all the hens are for making andas and then killing. So then their population are getting decreased because of this thing. Now somebody can say, why tigers are not coming, why leopards are not many. Again, they will also populate. That's why Kshatriyas used to kill tigers, because they used to come in more number and they used to kill. So if we leave them, they will populate and they'll become more in number. But we are not allowing them to grow, first thing. Second thing, we are destroying their forest. So wild animals, they live in forest. So we are destroying the forest also. So human is a culprit actually. Now somebody says the population of humans is increasing. The first question is, who had decided the population should be this much only? अभी ये population decide कौन कर रहा है कि इतना ही होना चाहिए population? Actually it's a God's ड्यूटी टू सेंड. वो जितना भेजेंगे, जैसे मान लो किसी के 5 बच्चे हो गए, किसी के 10 बच्चे हो गए. So people cannot say that no, you should only produce 2 children or 3 children. अरे who has decided that 2 children, 3 children? किसने decide किया है? Nobody decided. So therefore, it's a God's liberty to send how many souls he wants to send, and he is a father, he can maintain. Why he has to worry about prime minister saying हम दो हमारे एक हैं, और there should be population of in India इतना ही होना चाहिए. अरे तुम कौन होते बोलने वाले भगवान को? So therefore, population Prabhupada says it's not a problem actually. God is ready to maintain, and we have so much land to maintain, so much resources are there. So this is a totally actually atheistic understanding. But actually, one person asked the same question, so he was also troubled by this thing. Okay, why population increasing? Then I said, अरे increasing का मतलब क्या है? इंक्रीजिंग का मतलब नहीं है, भगवान के बच्चे हैं, भगवान उनको देना चाहते जन्म. अभी द्वारका में उतने लोग रह रहे थे भगवान के, हर एक के 10 बच्चे, भगवान के एक एक रानी से 11 बच्चे, 11, and then they also produce I think more. So 16,108 and then 10 children, and they also married and they also produce so many people are living in that small island called Dwarka. So Krishna, all people could have reported Krishna is very congested here. It's not like that actually. So these things are not correct. Better is to understand that we live with a godly principle, and then all people will remain happy. Like if in a small home, पहले बड़े बड़े छोटे, मान लो एक ही घर होता था जिसमें इतने लोग भर भर के रहते थे, लोग कितने बच्चे रहते थे, कितने अंकल आंटी, all people used to live in one home earlier, and now there are too many homes and nobody is living. एक ने घर बना के उसको किराए पे दे रखा है, उधर रह रहा है, and small families are living, and still nowadays people are worried about population actually. So this is a wrong thing actually to
no, not I didn't mean that. The only thing is, since this is the last chance for liberation, I mean, since
नहीं,
Kali
yes,
Yuga is coming so fast, so is it like humans should take advantage of all the Vedas that are existing, all the Shastras from which we can gain knowledge and try to get out of this?
okay. So see, if they will get mercy of devotee, and according to process of mercy, they can come to take birth as a human, or by evolutionary process, if they are coming to human form, they will become human. But it is nowhere mentioned that God is now has started some factory.
Yes, it's right.
सबको फटाफट भेजो इधर कलयुग में, डिस्कवर योरसेल्फ कोर्स अटेंड करें और फटाफट नाम जप करके निकल जाए.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
So
thank you, Prabhuji.
it's
Yes.
not like that, correct? Yes, Amrit Pran.
Hare
So you
Prabhu,
spoke just about, yeah. Sumati, go ahead.
it's okay, sir. Actually, I have a doubt like Kshatriyas are killers of animals. So, is there non-vegetarians?
Yes, Kshatriyas were eating meat. Kshatriya were allowed. Because when Kshatriya can kill animal, he can eat also. It is there. It is mentioned in 9th canto, one of the king, he was sent to bring rabbit. एक जिंदा रैबिट लेके आने को यज्ञ के लिए, तो उसको इतनी भूख लग गई वो रैबिट को मार के खाने लग गया. And then he brought the eaten rabbit to the yajna, and when Vasishta saw he has eaten that rabbit, he came to know, and then he told to his father, and this who is doing, you should know, he is a son of like a sun god, Vivaswan ke lineage में आ रही है राजा. So then he was told, he was informed that your son has eaten. So then father became so angry कि you are giving your jutha for yagya, I reject you, go away from the kingdom. उसको भगा दिया. So not only this incident, many places Kshatriya can eat meat because they were highly passionate, one thing, and they used to do yagya. So Prabhupada, why now see, somebody can say whether Vaishnava can eat meat. No, if Vaishnava has taken to the process of worshipping and purifying himself, attaining to the love of God, or basically the sattvic life, then he cannot eat. But these Kshatriyas, they used to perform many sacrifices, atonement also, regular. It was regular in their system only. So they will eat meat, but they will also perform some atonement process, some sacrifices, because of which these sins which they were doing, they were nullified actually. They're nullified. Now, because we have given up varnashrama, therefore we don't have these all facilities. Therefore, Prabhupada says that one can offer to Kali and eat. Prabhupada says, eh? So when it comes to like a varnashram, when you start living properly, one has a responsibility of kshatriya. Now even Guha, the devotee of Lord Ram, he was also eating. So Guha, matlab, I'm not saying that pure devotee, but his Guha was a pure devotee, but his community might be eating. He might not be eating because he was a dedicated and devoted devotee of a Lord Ram. So he might not be eating. So once you become pure, you have to like give up. When it is said Chandala can become Vaishnava, it means that Chandala was born in Chandala family, but now he should not eat meat. He has to give up. Now somebody can say Pandavas were eating meat or not. Pandava meat खा रहे थे कि नहीं? So if Pandavas were a devotee of the Lord, now again whether they are following this dharma, Varnashram dharma, you can Kshatriya dharma, so then they can be allowed. They will also do some yagya and get freed from that. But they have just taken to sannyas, totally given up everything, and then they following the निवृत्ति मार्ग, so then they need not eat. उनको उस समय खाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो देखो पहले ऐसा सब सिस्टम था. अगर आप बानप्रस्थ में चले गए, संन्यास में चले गए, so then you cannot enjoy all these things. But when it is in a religious household life, and then one is into this kshatriya, brahmana cannot eat. Brahmana cannot eat. Kshatriyas can eat, and even Sudras can eat. Also, even Vaishyas then also can eat in that way. But they have to perform certain sacrifice to get relief from their sins. And then when they come to renunciation, they have to give up. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's marg is of renunciation. Vairagya Vidya Nij Bhakti Yogam. Because he is giving pure bhakti. And in the marg of pure bhakti, these are all like Varnashram. Earlier Varnashram was mixed bhakti. There the worship of Vishnu is there. But again, it's a karma kanda also included in that. But our process is not no karma kanda, direct bhakti. So that's why everything is rejected here. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, all these things are rejected. But if somebody wants to follow this path also and then come up to pure bhakti, then okay. He has to accept certain guru. He has to accept certain rituals, religious principles in his life. Some atonement process he has to go through. देखो प्रभुपाद से दुकान पे मत खरीदो मीट, काली को ऑफर करो, तो वो रिलीजियस प्रोसेस है. काली को ऑफर करके खाओ.
No,
For you,
actually, this question is asked by my child when Arjuna all are killing means they are devotees. They are taking the meter. That's why I'm asking.
yes. So I said because Arjuna is also in Varnashrama right now. So he's following certain process of Varnashrama. But when Arjuna takes to Vanaprastha stage, in family life he can do it and he can follow all the yagyas and atonement process. But when it comes to Vanaprastha, means he has given up all such duties of Kshatriya. So then he has to follow the renunciation path. He cannot eat meat that time. No. So
But
like
there
that.
is no anywhere it is not mentioned that they are taken the meat or something like that. Pandavas.
But still they can do it. I'm saying in that way also. Still they can do it because earlier the devotee understanding was not exactly like that. Now, if somebody has become devotee and Paramhansa from beginning only, and he does not want to interact with the world, he will never eat. But somebody is following both Varnashrama, which was based upon material dharma, some karma kanda, and then also Vishnu bhakti. So like that, they are allowed for that. They were allowed for that actually.
Yeah, this is similar to Prabhuji asking that na did Arjuna chanted it his rounds on the day of Mahabharat fight. So like na that some devotee asked na that he was a devotee, so did he did his sadhana bhakti daily or not on the day of Mahabharat?
Arjuna, yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So similarly, yeah. And even Prabhupada writes in letter to Indira Gandhi na, that don't have slaughterhouses. If people can eat meat, but they sell animals, they should take animals, kill themselves, and then eat. Not like order from Zomato, go to restaurant and then
Yes.
just
Now
have
Pandavas
their
they
for tongue titillation, it's do it.
Pandavas they played a gambling match. Hmm.
Yeah.
So Krishna also used to play dice game or this gambling, whatever. So at that time, Prabhupada mentions the Kshatriyas were allowed to do that actually. So gambling is not allowed for devotees now.
Hmm.
Kshatriya used to
And
marry
they even took the consequences also. It na
Hmm.
they accepted the consequences. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So my question was related to that constitutional duty and conditional duty.
Hmm.
So you spoke in the last. So when can the conditional duty be given up?
Conditional
You
duty.
said that gradually. You said that na, it can be gradually given up. So until and unless one is not reaching the soul platform, he has to continue that conditional duty. Or
See,
how is it like?
conditional duty in modern times when we are ISKCON devotees, conditional duty basically we try to devote all our conditional duty in devotional service. We are eating also, we are sleeping also, we are taking care of family also. So this all becomes devotional service because we are devotees and we are reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, and we want to purify. We are purifying our consciousness and living the life of a devotee. So our conditional duty also is becoming devotional service. Yes, so it's like that. And when it comes to ultimate sense, like somebody is going away from like taking sannyas and other things, even that time also sannyasi's dharma is there. That is also conditional duty. Sannyasi dharma is not a constitutional duty. Again, sannyasi is again conditional only because it's a varnashram principle. When somebody becomes Paramahansa, totally liberated from this material world, he only follows spiritual duties. So right now, what is mentioned for us that try to make all your duties devoted in bhakti. सभी को devoted करो. That is taught for us. So your conditional duty will also be devotional service, along with your constitutional duty of chanting, serving the Lord, serving the devotees, like that. So we have to devote everything. And certain principles which we have to give up. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Chaitan Shikshamritam that when varnashram duty becomes obstacle in our devotional service, that you can give up. But when it is not an obstacle, when it is going nicely, then we should continue and devote that activity in devotional service. Like that. Okay, we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.